Network analyst Ramon Foster. I'm Will Bowling, joined by VolQuest's and On Threes, Austin Price, breaking down Tennessee and Mississippi State. The cowbells will be clanging in Starkville this weekend. What's up, Austin? Good morning.
Are you going to make like a parody? Cowbells will be clanging.
Oh, I like that.
Like a little Christmas parody. I think Ramon should be singing lead on that.
I will. I will. As soon as I learn the words, Austin, I got you. Especially if we get a dub and silence them, man. I got you next week. Promise.
You know, when I was in college, we made a parody to Margaritaville called Volunteerville.
Oh, okay. Was this on YouTube somewhere, Austin? Is there a recording of this we can find?
Right.
You know, there used to be, and then the best man at my wedding played it at the reception, much to my dismay.
Well, just send us his number. We'll reach out. We'll get it from him.
Keyword is used to be.
Yeah, that's right.
His number is 911.
I love it. Austin, what stands out about this matchup looking ahead to Tennessee and Mississippi State? What intrigues you about the way the Vols match up with the Bulldogs on Saturday?
I think Tennessee's just a better team, Will. I think they're the deeper team. They're the more talented team. I think all that lines up with if Tennessee plays the way they're capable of playing and the way they've been playing, I'm not sure Mississippi State can compete. If Tennessee plays down, Mississippi State is very capable of beating Tennessee. Last year, Mississippi State was not. Tennessee played a backup quarterback who was a former walk-on the entire second half. Mississippi State never really sniffed a chance to compete in that game. So I think they're a better team, a much better team. I think they will be way more competitive. But again, I think if Tennessee plays the way they're capable of playing, especially at the line of scrimmage, where Mississippi State's been a little bit beat up, Tennessee's getting healthier on the defensive side, they've been healthy on the offensive side, I think that lines up for Tennessee to have a real chance to have success.
Austin Price of VolQuest, our guest. Austin, did Jalen McMurray earn more snaps? 6 tackles, pass breakup. He only played 23 snaps on Saturday. How strong is he coming on to you, and how much more could we see him out there as Tennessee continues to be banged up at corner?
Yeah, I think they still would prefer to keep him at nickel, but the way the season's playing out, I think you have to look at the potential, and especially with Boo Carter getting a little bit more run last weekend, that he could potentially shift out and basically steal a handful of snaps at corner to give your younger corners just a chance to breathe. I mean, they just played too many snaps 2 weeks ago against Georgia. Same thing on the defensive line. Can Isaiah Campbell steal 12 snaps, 10 snaps, where Eason is playing 60 instead of 65, and Dominic Bailey's playing 60 instead of 65, and they just a little more fresh at the end of the game. I think that's potentially the case. But to this point, they really haven't moved Jalen McMurray to corner to where you go, okay, that's what they're going to do. Like, it makes sense because he played there a year ago that he would spell Ty Redmond or spell Colton Hood if they needed to get just a brief break. But to this point, they've not elected to do that. Could they? Absolutely. And maybe that's just that they're waiting on Boo to be less mistake-prone. He's been a little bit mistake-prone. You go back to the first half last week. I mean, he did not play his best football. Now, he played better as the game went along, but I think ultimately they would like to get to a point where they can trust him to put him out there, that he's not going to have a bust. He's not going to have those little mistakes.
Austin Price is joining us this morning of VolQuest's and On 3. Austin, this is the first time that Joey Aguilar is going into an SEC environment, a real one, on the road, man. How do you feel about him, the Cowbells, and just being poised for I think, a huge matchup as far as Mississippi State is concerned, and also for the Vols, too?
It's a big game for both teams. Obviously, Tennessee's had that little bugaboo on the road the last few years, and they would like to avoid what happened to Arkansas last year. Mississippi State's undefeated this late in the season for the first time in a long time. And, again, the difference between last year's Bulldogs and this year's Bulldogs is last year they went 2-10. They could – some of the teams gotten past a year ago. They're a better team, and so it will be a great atmosphere early on. The Cowbells will be loud. They'll be doing their thing, and ultimately Tennessee's going to have to respond, because at some point they're going to get some adversity in this game, Ramon. At some point, Mississippi State's going to punch them in the mouth, and Tennessee's going to have to respond to that. And we'll see how they do as this game rolls along on Saturday afternoon. Again, I think getting that game at 3:15 local time, 4:15 Eastern is way better than 8 and 7.
Yeah, no doubt. You don't need them doing the whiteout or whatever they have planned. With that being said, too, these offenses are very similar. Side to side, line up wide splits. Blake Shapen, though, his ability to run, and he will run fast. How healthy are the Vols as far as containing him? Do you trust the 4 up front or the front 7 to keep him in a box when it comes down to those extended drives that I saw the Northern Illinois game that he's capable of having from time to time?
Yeah, I think you could expect Mississippi State to move the football. They're going to move it. The question is how many times does Tennessee hold them? How many times does Tennessee get off the field and force a punt? And then when they do move it, how many times does Tennessee force a field goal? You know, they did a nice job of that against Georgia, where they were able to either get off the field or force field goals, which allowed them to have a 8-point lead in the fourth quarter that they squandered away. But either way, like, it put them in position to win the game. So I guess the bigger question is can Tennessee's young players hold up if they elect to go young, or do they say, hey, you're going to play 70 snaps, you're going to play 85 snaps again? If that's the case, then I do worry about just the I won't say conditioning, because I don't think that's fair, Ramon. Right. I do worry about just holding up late into the game, but I would tell you the same thing for Mississippi State. I don't think they've seen anything like Tennessee offensively. And Tennessee's, again, a deeper football team, a deeper team on defense, even with the injuries they've had. And so I think you want to be able to be a good tackling team on Saturday. Don't let Chafin take what should be a 4-yard gain and turn it into a 9-yard gain on 3rd and 7. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, seal the edge. I think it's important to play well if you're Josh Joseph, Caleb Herring, Jordan Ross, all those guys that can really run on the defensive line. To your point about his ability to run, I think they need to play really, really well Saturday.
Austin Price of VolQuest stood on 3, our guests this morning on Ramon and Will. Austin, it is the weekly health question we got for you this morning. What is the latest on Jackson Moy and David Hobbs? Do you expect Tennessee to get anyone back this Saturday in Starkville?
I expect Jackson Moy to play. David Hobbs, I would lean no. I think more likely he's back after the bye for Arkansas. That makes more sense to me. And then after that, we'll see about Jermon McCoy. I think, again, the earliest he would be back is Arkansas, obviously. I think privately that's kind of the target date, but he's got to start doing stuff with the team in team periods and practice. If that starts to happen, then I think you start to cook with grease a little bit about his pending return. And then as for David Sanders, I was told last week that things had improved, like when you start doing strength tests and all that type of stuff, that it had gotten better. It wasn't to the point of playing, but it had gotten better. So does he see more improvement this week that gets him to the field? Probably not this week, because I'm not sure they're throwing him out there on the road in his first game, but to the point where, like, all right, he's back post-bye week.
Austin, I loved in the Monday night chat last night at VolQuest in the General's Quarters, somebody asking, how great is it that the biggest controversy we have right now is why a freshman quarterback didn't get more reps against UAB? But, Austin, it is still a question. Why in the world did we not see more George McIntyre on Saturday? I know the defense stayed out there for a long time, and maybe he was going in the next drive, but why do you think we got so much Jake Merklinger and so little George McIntyre against UAB?
Well, you started unlike the ETSU game, you started the second half with Joey Aguilar on the field, and Joey played a drive. And, of course, UAB had the ball. Then Merklinger came in. I think by the time they were going to go to George, which was 8 or 9 minutes to go fourth quarter, UAB went on this long drive where Tennessee just couldn't get off the field. Every time they give them a third down, they'd give up the conversion, move the chains, and it kept Tennessee off the field offensively. And by the time you got with a couple minutes to go, I don't think Tennessee just wanted to put George out there just to hand off. I think they wanted to give him a real series, and that just didn't work out that way with the timing of the football game. Again, either way, Tennessee head over heels for what Georgia's done through the summer, through fall camp, and into the season. They're very high on him, and I would expect him to play later in the year against New Mexico State in November when that game rolls around. But yeah, I think it's a nothing burger in the grand scheme of things, and Georgia's going to have a real chance to win the job come 2026.
When you look at the outfit of this team, man, specifically the wide receivers, quarterback connection, man, I think coming into this year, I expected more Ethan Davis, more Miles Kitselman. Are you pleasantly pleased with how this wide receiver group has stepped up, considering the offseason that they had or didn't have, and the scholarship players? That's been a huge surprise to me, Austin. Where are you at on that one?
Yeah, I think that they've done a nice job of stepping up. I think the receivers and their play have allowed the tight ends to not have such a bulky workload to this point. I think Tennessee can totally go 2 tight ends if they need to. I think, they are a group that has got some depth to it. The wide receivers still aren't very deep, but they are talented and they're playing well. So Tennessee has some options there in the passing game. And again, Aguilar throws a very catchable ball. He's playing with a lot of confidence and doesn't let anything rattle him. Picks, incompletions, drop balls, touchdowns. He kind of stays the same no matter what's going on, which, again, it reflects leadership on the offensive side of the ball. And the ultimate leader for me on the offensive side of the ball is tight end Miles Kitselman. So, I think that group kind of works hand in hand.
In the gotta-have-it moments as far as the run game goes, it seems like they're leaning heavy on Star Thomas. Not just that, his ability to make plays, and I'm seeing him jump over guys. The transfer portal's been good to the Vols, and I feel like Star Thomas is another part of that story moving forward, Austin. Did not have him playing this big of a role for this team, considering the talk we had of Peyton Lewis and Deshaun Bishop. He's starting to separate himself, I feel like, more than I even imagined the coaching staff did.
Well, when he got here, Ramon, I think the coaching staff looked at him as a nice depth piece. A solid player at Duke, but I think he's really thrived in this offense. There are still plenty of things that he has to work on. There are still plenty of things that, keep Deshaun Bishop in the starting role, pass protection being one of them. But Star Thomas gives you that thrill-a-minute, spin move, burst of speed, big play capability that maybe Bishop isn't as, easy to work towards. So I think the fans fall in love with Star Thomas because they see the spin moves and the wow plays, when in reality they're both providing a nice, kind of push for the run game. And you're right; those two are the top two. I expect them to continue to see the top two workloads, at the running back position. Peyton Lewis still feels like he is, struggling to see it. Does not find the hole as easy as either of the other two, and I think maybe they'll come along. But right now, it certainly feels like it's Star Thomas and Deshaun Bishop, 1A and 1B in the Tennessee backfield.
If Peyton Lewis had caught that swing route, he'd still be running.
Yes, you're right.
Oh.
And again, you look at Joey's numbers. I mean, you had Deshaun Bishop dropped one a couple of weeks ago, and then he put the gloves back on. I'm almost positive that one of the coaches, might have even been Heupel, said, "Put gloves on." It was pretty quick after that. But yeah, they can do little things to kind of get themselves some juice, not helping each other by not catching the football, especially when Joey put it on Peyton Lewis, perfect pass. Yes. Perfect pass. And he just dropped it. So that's something they have to clean up. And those are the little things when you're on the road and you have a chance to convert a 3rd and 6 and you hit a swing pass out there and it's going to go for at least 6, if not more. You got to catch the football. You got to move the chains, keep the drive alive. Those are little things that they have to clean up as they continue to go along here.
Austin Price of VolQuest's our guest. Austin, on the way out, one recruiting nugget for you. And speaking of George McIntyre and maybe him having a strong chance or a chance to be the starter next year. Well, one of his old high school teammates just decommitted from Oregon over the weekend, and wide receiver Keyshawn Bowman. Where is Tennessee at in that recruitment? And I know for someone who's been on campus, how big of a target is this as maybe the Tyreek King or Tristan Keys kind of receiver for the 27 class?
Absolutely. Keyshawn Bowman is going to be super highly rated, top 100 kid, top 50 kid, and we'll see how high he gets. But he's fantastic, and Tennessee has done a really good job there. Even before he committed to Oregon, I think he got there, just kind of got caught up in the moment, committed, and then got back here and realized, I'm not going back to Oregon. Tennessee's in a good spot there. Other teams are going to continue to push there. He's as highly a coveted of a wide receiver as there is in the 2027 class. You don't expect it to be easy. It won't be easy, but Tennessee's done a nice job of positioning themselves here post-decommitment for what I think probably some type of winner-type decision.
Austin, how do you feel going into the Ryder Cup this weekend? Are we getting the cup back against Europe at Bethpage?
I know it doesn't feel like it, but the U.S. team has gotten better over the last several years, especially at least defending home turf. You go back to 12 when they blew that 10-6 lead at Medina. They've gotten better about defending home turf. I expect them to defend it this week. I think Keegan Bradley is a lightning rod. I think, just when you look at the overall team, there's something about it. It's not just star power. It's also some nice glue players like Russell Henley or J.J. Spahn. I really like this team a lot. So I would be shocked if they don't have the cup come Sunday night. Now, we can be sitting here talking next Tuesday, and I'll be telling you I'm shocked. But I really feel like this is a team that's set up to win. I will ask you a poll question going out the door here, though.
Okay.
On Sunday night, who has the most points? Team USA, Team Europe, the Jets, or the Giants? Go.
Wow.
Well, yeah, all you need is about 17 for the U.S. to outscore the Jets and Giants. So, yeah, I think
it takes 14 and a half
Yep.
to, so, I mean, just let that resonate.
My follow-up question, Austin, is who is the quarterback for the Giants? Because if it's Jackson Dart, maybe it might be the Giants. If it's still Russell Wilson, give me Team USA.
Yes, I'm with you. That poll question brought to you by the great Brant Packer.
I love it. Austin Price, our guest, Tuesdays at 8:20, talking Vols. Thank you, Austin. Good stuff.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Austin Price with us. I did last night on the Brian Callahan show, Ramona, my weekly hit I do with Taylor Zarzer for Titans Radio on the Brian Callahan show. He revealed a nugget to me.
What was that?
Taylor goes, he said, Rhett Bryan has said that I believe, and I think it was the first win in Titans history. Mike Keith was watching the Ryder Cup in the booth as the Titans won their first game in franchise history. So Taylor tells me that on air and goes, Will, you have permission in Houston on Sunday to be watching on your phone as the United States plays in the Ryder Cup.
Let's go.
Thank you, Taylor. Really appreciate that. And I told him, I just need to make sure I have a voice and I'm not yelling mean things at Rory McIlroy on Friday when I am there.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely there is something wrong with it if I can't talk and give sideline reports.
Nah, you be all right.
No, I'll be fine. If Rhett, if you're listening, I'll be ready. Don't worry. I'm going to be fine.
Sounds like Rhett gonna take your phone.
Coming up,